Hey group. So this video here is all about the path of blood. And here's the thing, it's pretty confusing. So what I've done for you is I've basically chunked it into 5 different levels. So the way I want you to interact with this video is to basically listen, learn each level, then pause. Make sure you feel really comfortable getting the big idea. And then when I go to the next level, I'm going to introduce a new piece and then a new piece and then a new piece. So ultimately by the end, you will have the 10-step path of blood. So now here's what I mean when I say path of blood. I mean, if you're a little red blood cell, they're always all over the place. Sometimes they're in your brain, in your nose, in your toes, in your heart, and kind of all over. But there is a pattern, and there's a very important reason for the pattern that I hope that you'll see. So let's jump into it. So level 1 here, this is what you need to know. If you're a red blood cell, what you do is you get oxygen from the lungs and then ultimately deliver that oxygen to a cell somewhere in your body. Again, your nose, your toes, your knees, your biceps, somewhere. And then you pick up the carbon dioxide and you go back to the lung. You drop off the carbon dioxide, get some more oxygen. Then you go and you drop off the oxygen, get the carbon dioxide, and over and over. So this is the big idea of the loop. Okay? So level 1 drops off oxygen and then eventually drops off carbon dioxide at the lungs. Again, pause, make sure that's in your head, and then when you're ready, go on to level 2. All right, level 2. Level 2 here is now we added a step. There is the heart, which of course is very important to the circulatory system. So here's what you need to know. After it gets the oxygen from the lungs, it takes a pit stop and it stops at the heart, and the heart gives a big squeeze, and then it heads over to the cells to drop off the oxygen. And then before it goes to the lungs, it goes back to the heart and then gives another big squeeze and goes back to the lungs. Okay, this is called a double loop system. So it goes lungs to heart, to cells, to heart, to lungs, to heart, cells, to heart, and so on and so forth. Is that it always takes a pit stop at the heart before it ultimately goes to the lungs or off to the cells. So that's level 2. Drops off oxygen and carbon dioxide, but has to stop at the heart before dropping anything off. Again, pause, make sure you're good. When you're ready, head on to level 3. All right, level 3 is that arteries always go away from the heart. Veins always go towards the heart, okay? So we're just going to kind of throw in those words here because these are going to be important steps. So let's start once again at the lungs. So if we start at the lungs, and then we're going towards the heart, so we're going in veins from the lungs, as you can see I labeled here. And then now a big squeeze. Now we're going away from the heart, so we're going arteries to the body. And then once I drop off the drop off the oxygen, now I'm going back towards the heart. So I'm going in veins from the body to the heart. Big squeeze, away from the heart. So now I'm going arteries to the lungs and then to the lungs. All right, so we go veins from the lungs to the heart, arteries to the body, then veins from the body, and then arteries to the lungs. All right, again, pause. Make sure you got level 3. Arteries away from the heart, veins towards the heart, because we're about to step it up a notch in level 4. All right, level 4. Level 4 is we're throwing in these new word capillaries. So if you haven't noticed already, down here where it has the red is kind of the new step I'm adding every single time. So now we know that they go arteries to the body, and when they get to the cell, when arteries get smaller and smaller and smaller, and to the point where they're so small, itty bitty little blood vessels that they're ready to go right up along the cells, they're in capillaries. So you can see here, I try to show that by making them nice and small. So to add our extra little step here, so it goes arteries to the body, and then we're in the capillaries of the body where it drops it off. Veins from the body, heart, arteries to the lungs. Then we're in the capillaries of the lungs, veins from the lungs, heart, arteries to the body, capillaries to the body, and so on and so forth. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps out of the 10 already. All right, once we get to level 5, I will give you the remaining 4 steps, and you will know the 10 steps of blood. So again, pause, make sure you're good, and then move on. All right, level 5, the final step, is that inside the heart, there's actually sections or chambers, and it's important that there's a left side and a right side, because you can kind of see here, I made everything blue on this side. Everything blue means that it doesn't have oxygen in it. It's carrying carbon dioxide. So that's why this side of the heart is blue. These are represented by blue. Everything in red means that it's carrying oxygen. So When you're a blood vessel, arteries to the body, capillaries to the body, you drop off and now you're blue because you are carrying carbon dioxide. What happens is you enter the heart and you always enter the atrium first, right atrium, and then right ventricle. And then the cycle continues that we already learned about: arteries to the lungs, capillaries from the lungs, veins from the lungs. And then we enter the left atrium of the heart and the left ventricle. And then we go out and the path continues. So I always remember alphabetical order. A comes before V, so it goes in the top chamber, which is the A one, atrium, before it goes in the bottom one, which is the V, and then it gets squeezed out to everywhere else. The atrium just kind of stores it and then gives it to the ventricle, who then pumps it out to the body. You may have already noticed that it kind of seems backwards. This says right, but it's almost kind of our left side, which is always confusing. So almost every time in a picture, it's going to be backwards because it's hard to show you on the screencast. But ultimately, like if you are standing, it represents what your heart picture would look like if it was actually in your body. So it kind of looks like it's backwards. So like if you're looking at somebody, your right is their left, that kind of thing. So now those are the 10 steps. So on this final level here, 6, I've typed them all up for you. You can start in any spot you want. I just happen to start capillaries of the lungs just to pick anywhere. So really it doesn't matter where you start because it's a big loop. But here we go from the top, capillaries in the lungs. Then it goes veins from the lungs into the left atrium, into the left ventricle, out through arteries in the body, then through the capillaries in the body where it drops off the oxygen, picks up carbon dioxide to go in the veins from the body into the right atrium, into the right ventricle, and then ultimately through the arteries to the lungs where the cycle continues over and over and over. Okay? So the part I just want to clarify here is this capillaries in the body. This is going to be different. So he might just dropped off at a nose, and now when he goes back to the left atrium ventricle, arteries in the body, maybe now he's heading off to your fingers or your liver or somewhere else. He's always heading to a different spot. But either way, he's going to always end up at a cell that needs oxygen. So here are your your level 6, your 10 steps. I wish you the best of luck in getting and understanding where blood goes in your body. As always, thank you for watching.